Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Political Vigilante. My name is Graham Elwood. Thank you for supporting the show. Like, subscribe, share these videos, watch the ads all the way through. If you click skip ad, I do not get paid. And of course, you can support me at patreon.com/Graham Elwood. And the Progressive Comedy Tour is coming to you, a town near you. So go to grahamelwood.com for all the tour dates. I'm joined by Sameera Khan. She's having some camera issues, but that's not going to stop us. It's probably the NSA or the CIA blocking her camera. That's my guess. So Sameera, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How's it going?
Good, good. So I wanted to talk to you. There was an airstrike by India, or I don't know. It's sort of, it's not clear. It's exactly, depending on who's reporting on it, but Indian Air Force crossed the Indo-Pakistani airspace, and they're claiming that they hit some targets, but there's a dispute over what actually happened. But it definitely was sort of an aggressive, not sort of, but it was an aggressive military act on the part of India. What do you make of this?
For sure. Well, I think it's important to have background information.
Mm-hmm.
This attack, this supposed terrorist attack that happened, I think, a little over a week ago, was done, India says that it was done by Pakistan because it was this terrorist group called JEM, Jaish-e-Mohammed. It's located in Kashmir. It's located in Indian Kashmir, and they operate out of Indian Kashmir. However, India feels that they operate out of Pakistan.
Mm-hmm.
And the group is actually a designated terrorist organization in Pakistan. It's also banned in Pakistan. India claims that they're banned, but they operate freely, which is not exactly true because there are reports of Pakistan arresting JEM members and terrorist organization, terrorist and militants, etc. Now, in Kashmir, what do you know about Kashmir? What have you heard about Kashmir in general?
I don't know that much about Kashmir. So why don't you enlighten us a little bit on that? I shared this article, this Surgical Strike 2.0 or Big Bollywood Spectacle. So that's what I'm sharing with the audience to read over right now. But why don't you explain to us a little bit briefly what Kashmir is?
Well, Kashmir is split between three countries, India, Pakistan, and China. The Indian side was signed over to India without a referendum back in 1947. And since then, there's been a resistance. Like, they want to join Pakistan.
Mm-hmm.
And India promised them a referendum, but they've denied Kashmiris that referendum. Since 1989, there have been 100 deaths, 8,000 to 10,000 disappearances, mass torture, rape by the occupation force in Kashmir, which is Indian soldiers, about 700,000 of them, which is an insane number. It's the most militarized zone in the world, and it's known as the nuclear triangle, the entirety of Kashmir, because 3 nuclear powers are directly involved. Now, it's also called the world's most dangerous nuclear flashpoint. Bill Clinton called it that, and he claimed to have averted nuclear war between India and Pakistan. I'm not entirely sure if that's true. But calling it a terrorist act, I mean, I kind of dispute that because no civilians were killed. It was just 40 Indian soldiers that were killed in this attack. And why are 700,000 soldiers there in the first place?
Mm-hmm.
You know, if Hamas had killed 40 IDF soldiers, I don't think we'd be calling it a terrorist attack. So why not give the same courtesy to Kashmir? I just don't understand. I think it's because not a lot of people talk about Kashmir as an occupation, rather than, you know, like most people just say that it's just disputed by India and Pakistan. That's not true. Mm-hmm. Exactly. So the Indian Air Force, I mean, so there's been many, many different confrontations over Kashmir between India and Pakistan. In 2016, an attack happened in Kashmir, and India blamed Pakistan without any proof, without doing an investigation, and then launched what was a fake surgical strike to beat the war drums at home, to, I guess, foster nationalism in the population. And but like I said, there was no evidence. And a few months later, a closure report was filed by the Indian government. They released the suspects because no evidence was there to link it to Pakistan. And initially, they had blamed the same group they're blaming today. And in relation to today's attack, the leader of the group, Masood Azhar, he denied involvement.
Mm-hmm.
So there's just a lot of very conflicting narratives coming out, but it's also not a coincidence that the Indian elections are coming up in March or so.
Right.
So they're just, trying to, I guess, foster nationalism and, give the BJP another win, because it looks like the BJP is going to win again.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is interesting because according to this article, I'm just looking at it says the facts here. And one of the things it says is Indian Air Force violated the LOC, which is the
line of control.
For the first time since 1971. Pakistan proved that only a few trees were destroyed and no infrastructure damage, people killed. Islamabad says the Indian jets shed their payload in fright to jettison extra weight as they fled, but then, of course, New Delhi denies that its jets were chased out of Pakistan airspace by its neighbors. India presented no evidence to back up its claims that it killed 200 to 300 fighters.
Right.
And Pakistan vowed to respond to this border violation at a time and place of its choosing.
Right.
In this article,
like I said, the group Jaish-e-Mohammed is not operating out of Pakistani Kashmir, but Indian Kashmir. And we know this because Indian media, they've reported that the Indian government has busted a bunch of JEM cells in Indian Kashmir. So that's just another, I guess it fits the puzzle.
So with Pakistan vowing, retaliation for this, where do you see this going? I mean, this could really escalate.
It's very scary. It's very scary because the two do have nuclear weapons. And like I said, China could get involved and take Pakistan's side, which is what scares me the most. I don't know what Pakistan could end up doing, but if India just destroyed a bunch of trees, then Pakistan might not do anything. But
right,
it's still quite scary because we don't know what's going to happen with India. I've spoken to people in Indian Kashmir, and they said, it's like a doomsday situation. They're locked in their homes. There's tanks everywhere. They're, training their military. And like I said, 700,000 troops there. In Afghanistan and Iraq, it was never more than, I think, less than 300,000 American troops in Afghanistan and Iraq.
Yeah, combined. It was
combined.
Not even. It was like 180, I think, was our peak in Iraq, and maybe
right
60, 70 in Afghanistan. That's at the peak.
Yeah. So 700,000 in an area that's populated, the population's about 14 million. And according to Indian reports, the number of militants are about 300. So why do you need 700,000 soldiers to defeat 300 ragtag militants? It doesn't make any sense. You would, however, need 700,000 soldiers to sustain an occupation.
Right.
And they are building settlements in Kashmir. They're trying to relocate and resettle Hindus to the region because it's the only Muslim majority state in India. and they're trying to reduce the Muslim majority to a minority, which is very similar with what's happening with Israel and Palestine.
Mhm.
So I think a lot of people are very quick to, I guess, report on this subject. I haven't seen that many in the US media. I haven't seen many progressives talk about this at all. But, they're going to read the report on Reuters or something, and they're going to see, oh, terrorist attack, et cetera, Pakistan did it. But they don't know, the history of the group. They don't know what's going on in Kashmir. So I think it's very good for your audience to understand context.
Well, thank you for bringing that context to the viewers here, and I really, it's something we're obviously going to pay close attention to, because this could. I hope it doesn't escalate. I don't know. The world seems like it's. I don't know. The human race.
I hope it doesn't. It would be really bad. It would be super bad. And by the way, Tulsi Gabbard in 2016, when this attack happened and India responded, she actually posted a statement calling, Kashmiri freedom fighters terrorists, and then she backed up India's aggressive response like a surgical strike, which is what they said it was. And I was really shocked by that, because no evidence had come out and they had no reason to blame Pakistan. There was no evidence linking Pakistan to the crime. And she cheered it on without knowing the consequences. And I think after that attack, she called the Kashmiris jihadis on Twitter or something, which is really interesting. And she's had the same rhetoric on Palestinian freedom fighters as well, whether they're jihadists or Islamists or whatever, but they are suffering from an occupation, a brutal military occupation, unfortunately. So it's not the best sign.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's as we talked about in another video, there's a lot about Tulsi that I like, but then some of that, I love her stance on Syria, and her anti-imperialist is really good, but then on certain issues, it feels like.
She's very hawkish on the war on terror, and she buys into that narrative. I think a couple weeks ago, there was a bill in the House about, I guess, setting up a board to coordinate DHS intel policy and activities. Rashida Tlaib, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Ilhan Omar voted against it, but Tulsi Gabbard voted for it, which shows that she really buys into that war on terror narrative.
Yeah, that's the thing that's a little disconcerting. In that video from 2014, where she said she was conflicted about the CIA torture report, as though
she's no longer in favor of torture, or conflicted about torture, by the way. Jordan Sheridan did a interview, and she flipped on that. So she's now against torture.
That's good.
Which is good, but it seemed like a platform was given to her to re-clarify her good positions. I don't remember her being questioned about her bad positions, which is particularly, cheering on very aggressive actions between India, Pakistan, and China in the nuclear triangles. That's scary. She voted to arm Ukrainian rebels in 2014, and even Obama didn't want to do that, and she was specifically pushing for it. And not just not Ukrainian rebels, the government itself, and which is still aligned with Nazis. So it's just very, very scary. And she voted for sanctions against Venezuela and DPRK. So these are positions I think that she should be questioned about. But everybody's just either focusing on, her Assad, which I completely agree with. I agree with her stance on Syria. I don't agree with the rhetoric she's been using about Assad.
Yeah. Yeah, she said recently on The View that he is a brutal dictator and all this other stuff, and it's like, oh man.
Yeah, I saw that.
Stuff like that, I just go, oh, is the machine pulling her? And is she just going to acquiesce to the machine, to the war machine? That's what.
Right, and Bernie Sanders is doing the same thing about Maduro. Yeah. So, there's nobody who we can. Ilhan Omar has been particularly good.
Yes.
She went out of her way to reaffirm Maduro's legitimacy. Then she said that sanctions were the reason why Venezuela is in a crisis. and she's been challenging the foreign policy establishment in much more, I guess, comprehensive way than Tulsi Gabbard, Bernie Sanders, and obviously Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, because she hasn't really done anything noteworthy.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's going to be interesting to see how obviously this what the response that Pakistan has to India violating the border, the line of control, and also to see how all of these presidential candidates how they react to stuff, and if they're going to react as politicians or they're going to react as actual progressives that want to change things for the better. So
yeah, we're probably going to be disappointed. Sorry to say.
Yeah, and there's not much time left with the environment collapsing. So
yeah.
But at least Dianne Feinstein, talked down to school children and their parents. So at least we got that. So that's the Democrats fighting for us. That was great. And all right, well, thank you so much for giving us some more context with the region, and appreciate taking your time. Where can people follow you online?
Well, yeah, I was just going to say, you're probably going to get a lot of backlash for this video. Just warning you now.
Yeah, Sameera, I'm so used to it when I deal with you. All right.
But yes, my Twitter is at Sameera Khan.
All right.
But thanks again for having me.
Sure. Thank you so much. All right, everybody, like and share, subscribe, send the videos out. I very much appreciate you supporting what I'm doing here and just trying to get the truth out. That's all I'm doing. Just trying to get the truth out in ways that the corporate media will not. That's why you're getting your news on YouTube from a comedian that's in some weird hotel room in Chicago. So thanks for watching.